Welcome back to War Thunder. Welcome aboard first the T29 and later on the M26E1, both in RB. Here first we will face the Russians and the Germans in a realistic battle again on Stalingrad. I'm sorry about this. And later on Ash River I will take out the M26E1. Now, both are American tanks. The one here you can see is a heavy tank, and the other one will be a medium tank that probably behaves a little bit like a heavy tank. But at the end of the day, they are good premiums, and I kind of recommend them. So, first of all, the major topic of today's video will be the following. I kind of talk against lineups. And you might be surprised when you hear this, that I think that is a good idea to not rely on a lineup. Why is that? What are you talking about? What the hell? I just see videos on YouTube all over the place and streams and whatnot talking about lineups. True, a lineup is very powerful if done right, but at the end of the day you need two things taking into consideration. You need to have not just one, but multiple tanks at the battle rating, and also planes at the battle rating. And at best, all of them must be spaded. All of them must be equipped with the best, loadout for the situation. And War Thunder gives you a very unique way of, adapting to situations. Because at the end of the day, you can just look at the starting screen and look at your heavy tank, how much spawn point it costs. According to that, without looking at the team list, you can look, you can know how to, play your tank. That, by the way, was an IS-6. I just bounced an IS-6, so I still think that the T29 here is a great tank. I bounce off his upper plate and now I just realized that it is an IS-6. At the first appearance I thought about a T44 somewhat, doesn't matter. So I have here a great position, hiding my lower plate, the real big weak spot of the T29, and I bounce another shell of him and completely wreck his gun. It's black. And even non-existing Russian buyers can overcome a black gun. Except if he would have loaded HE, but, that's a different question. And I just simply charge him. I'm having none of this stand around and watch for him. Aim left of the cupola and penetrate there where the optics are not placed. So I'm not falling for the trick, of just shooting the flat part of the cupola. Always a tricky part. Now I'm not sure what to do. There was a little bit of battle noise going behind me. So yeah, there we kind of see one of the bit of confusing points of the T29. Not really confusing as it is a heavy tank. It's kind of the lack of maneuverability. It's not terribly bad. It's not IS-4/IS-3 level. But, it's not the most agile tanks. Although the first time I got it, it didn't have neutral steering. That has changed. Back to the lineup situation. So, for a lineup, you need, tanks and planes alike. That is a very, very long grind. Then, you need all the vehicles kind of spaded, when you look at the higher tier American medium tanks, stock, they're awful. They're really, really, really bad. So you need to invest Golden Eagles. But that is bad as well, because that then reflects kind of a pay-to-be competitive aspect. Or, if you think that then heat is overpowered in terms of the patterns, yeah, pay to win aspect, because you don't get those heat shells for free at the beginning. You have to grind for them, and without them, those are not very competitive tanks, frontline speaking. Yeah, but why do you still think that a lineup is bad? You know, I played 1,000 battles to get my tier 4 German, tier 4 British slash tier 4 American whatever lineup, and now I have that lineup. Yeah, but why do you then play that? You know, you don't really play it for grinding, because most of the time the grinding is kind of a bit off from what you need. And if you want great income for your planes, play RRB. And why the hell would you take rockets for research if you go into RRB? So they would be kind of your last upgrade in a normal fighter, you know. Speaking here about the Griffins with their fantastic bomb rocket loadout and still being very capable fighters, certainly able to take on the Germans with ease. Yeah, so again, it is very, very awkward when you really think about the idea of a lineup in Tank RB, and that is just the theory of setting it up. Let's talk about the actual reality of the battle. Let's just talk about that. Why is this such an important part? Now, imagine you drive a heavy tank. Heavy tanks cost the most spawn points out of all tank classes. And still to this day, I do not really understand why it is specifically designed for the class of tank. Because sometimes the class doesn't make really sense. I mean, look at the Centurion Mark III versus the Carnarvon. Very, very similar tank. The one is being declared as a heavy tank, the other one being a medium tank. But gun-wise, mostly maneuverability-wise, they're kind of the same. So, you know, obviously you take out the Centurion Mark III, because if then you die, you have a lot of spawn points left. And together with the spawn points that you have acquired within the battle, you might just get another respawn. And then there is the respawn. Now, first of all, most of the time I just don't care about respawning, and yet I have good results. Why is that? Well, because I don't play like a complete fool. I'm not an expert, but still I'm a not that bad player, if I may say so myself. Why is that important? Well, if you play right, you mostly survive in the tank that you play. And with some tanks that I played, that I made points about that, I have the stats to, you know, support my claim. The E100, the IS-6 and the T29 being very capable tanks. Stop making selfies, Napalm. Okay, driving on. With those tanks, you just have a very good chance to have a good impact on the battle. And why? Well, they are very, very capable heavy tanks for their respective battle rating. I think still that the E100 slash the Mouse can, you know, benefit greatly from an ammunition buff in terms of the armor piercing, high explosive discarding Sabot, you know, the Treibspielgeschoss that, you know, I think really is necessary. Why is that? Well, because the 100 and the Mouse both have, you know, penetration values with their upgraded main armament shell that is lower than the stock shells of both the M103 and also the T10M. Also the Conqueror, if you know, want to talk about that tank. And when you then go into battles, I mean, I have showcased an E100 replay like a few days ago, where I showed how unreliable against those very balanced Russian tanks the APHE shell of the 128mm gun can be. And there we can see the income. I'm just wanting to grind for a tank. So what is it of use for me to you know, take out a plane? Because that would go into the void for me personally. And yes, I'm talking here about a very personal video. But yeah, here we are on Ash River in the M26E1. It has a long-barreled 90mm, and I think it is a very, very nice tank indeed. It is also a premium, a very expensive one, and do I think it's worth the money? Well, you know, I think for my personal playstyle, the T29 features just better armor and, you know, a slightly better gun. And the Super Hellcat just provides you with this completely insane mobility that brings you into very, very preferable situations. Now, why is that important? Well, at the end of the day, I kind of want to be competitive in a tank. I want to, you know, figure out what is the main advantage of the tank, how can I abuse it against the enemy, and so on. So the T29 here is a nice tank, no doubt about that, but it is not kind of the secret American Panther II or the secret American T44-100. So here I spotted some tank disappearing behind the rock, and I just wait for him. Maybe he just peeks out, or he's laying in an ambush. I don't know. You know, at this point and stage of the battle, to take yourself a few seconds to observe the surrounding, maybe wait for a, you know, mistake or error of the enemy is, you know, something that I would always go for. Because, again, you know, if you have the finest lineup, if you have even the lowest, you know, spawn point requiring triple A's in your lineup, if you're spawning in a heavy tank and you're top tier and you're dead and you get one-shotted, you know, which can happen very, very likely, especially at top tiers with those very balanced ATGMs, then, you know, you end up with having the battle lost. Just think about that. Just think about that. You have activated a big booster, you get one-shotted, and that's it. For big boosters, I always would recommend arcade. Now, if you don't like arcade, that's your problem. For pure grinding purposes, arcade is still a big advantage. And here the enemy tank has screwed up. I noticed that it is a rather not so well armored type 62, so I just smacked the APHE shell right through his upper plate and destroyed him with one shot. Good result right there, but that was just the first kill. I want to have more. So my team has actually secured the capture zone. That's very good. I'm relatively safe from tanks from behind me, you know, from the southern you know, ridge line, so to speak. And this situation is just very, very awkward. It's very good, but it's awkward because you're taking your chances. It takes you relatively close to the enemy spawn points. However, you just can farm the enemies, you know, just going straight for the objective. And there you can see that, yeah, I observe my surrounding. The enemy is currently capturing a whatsoever. Also, I have just found out for the results. If you die early on, why even bother going for a spawn? You already lost your major advantage, you know, the positioning early in the game. Everything else is a struggle uphills. And if you are in an up tier, you know, you just have an excuse to leave the battle. Sure, you will lose the battle, and you know, there might be a point for you to make, well, that's a coward play, but at the end of the day, realistic battles take so long. You know, it's just a waste of time to go for the respawn. If you're very dedicated, if you have like tons and tons of talismans on your vehicles, both planes and tanks, because you have gold needles to waste like crazy, sure, go for it. But if you want to be really efficient, you know, give arcade another try. if you are an average player and you want to improve your overall handling of the tank, like you want to improve angling skills, aiming skills, if you just want to observe the kill cam more often, or if you just want to make most out of your boosters, if you can't guarantee to have a great game. And to guarantee to have a great game is something that you just simply can't in tank RP. Hull break again on a ZSU-37, third kill, going for a decapping and then to engage the enemy tank. Looks like a T-44, aim for his turret, smack right into the middle, killing all 4 crew members, reversing into the cap. Again, this tank just does the job as long as you don't get shot. Yeah. I really don't think that lineups are a great idea. It depends entirely on your playstyle, what you personally want to achieve. I personally don't like lineups. And look at this. Yeah, I got killed, I got rocketed from the air, so late respawns are always bad because the enemy does have a lot of aircraft that just one-shot you. And if you are in a Hellcat or a Mouse or E100, it doesn't matter, rockets just kill you. So I'm respawning in a T29 and I think to myself, well, just go for it. And then I see a T-44 aiming for the turret. Again, penetration, nicely, crew knockout. Beautiful right there. And that's my ace. That's my ace. So good result right there. But I really don't think that lineups are, for me, something that I would rely on too often. Because just things happen. And, you know, you want to grind. You want to have the results. If you want to go for the beautiful carrying matches that you can send to some really famous YouTubers, sure, go for it. But how big is the chance? Not very big. It's more likely that you get killed by the same plane twice in a row because rockets. Yeah, and that's the battle for me. No spawn points left. Am I experienced with spawn points? No, because I figured out early on that they are just not worth. The system is bad, I don't like it. The realistic battle approach is nice, but you know, spawn points are just good for the enemy so that I can kill them more than once. What War Thunder really misses is a deathmatch scenario, you know, like in World of Tanks. And it's crazy when you think about that Gaijin went for all modes that are thinkable. Arcade, where you have 3 spawns guaranteed, which is very nice. Then also the spawn point system in RB, and also, you know, whatever it takes to make a tank work in Simulator with all the respawns. Like the early days of respawns in Simulator were stupid, like that certain medium tanks had 2 spawns, but heavy tanks just 1. I don't like all the approaches. Do I make the most out of it? Well, for my personal playstyle, yes. So, at the end of the day, I just can say, when you like lineups, surely go for them. There are nations that excel at certain battle ratings, others that completely suck, and yeah, to bring balance to it is even a greater challenge for the company that produces this game than you might think, because you have to challenge you know, all the balancing factors, the weapon systems, the tanks themselves, at the same battle rating, with the lineups and with the aircraft also, together with the AAAs. It's practically an impossible task. That's my personal opinion. Let me know what you think about this thought, and yeah, I'm very looking forward for your reply and your comment. And as usual, please give this video a like if you did, subscribe if you want to see more, and we'll see each other in the skies and on the battlefields of War Thunder.